We are St. Rose High School
from Belmar, New Jersey,
connecting faith and life.
And you're watching Real Faith TV.
I would define beauty as what's on the inside of someone other than looks, like how they act and what they say.
Having a beautiful personality.
They put others before themselves.
Someone that is beautiful has a personality that is like kind and compassionate and caring.
It is difficult to see beauty beneath the skin because of how society makes everything on the news and MTV and all those other shows.
I think that society judges people on the outside, but what matters most is on the inside.
Everything's about how beautiful people are physically, and it makes us think that we should look like that, but we don't have to.
There are so many characteristics that go into making someone beautiful that aren't physical things, such as people's character, their personality, and worth as a human being.
I think that we often fall into comparing because society thinks this is beautiful, this is what one form of beauty is, and if you're not this, you're not beautiful. But it's not one mold fits all. Everybody has their own unique style and they're beautiful in their own way.
I don't think society has any right to dictate what a person's worth is. It's up to that person to wake up in the morning and say, I am beautiful.
If you're not accepting of yourself, you can't be accepting of other people.
We have a hard time talking about the beauty of other people because we tend to judge the book by its cover and not go past that, not getting to know the person themselves.
We can embrace the uniqueness in each person's world by not looking at their bad traits or bad looks and instead looking at what's good about them instead of just instantly making a judgment on how they look.
You have to talk to someone and get to know them as a person first. And it's really hard sometimes for people to do that because they judge based on their physical appearance and don't get to know them as a person. And I feel like that's a problem in today's society.
I felt that I could truly be myself in front of family and friends because they're not going to reject me. They love me on who I am and about who I am on the inside, not who I am on the outside.
I feel most comfortable in my own skin when I'm with my friends, and I know this because they don't judge me and I don't judge them.
To make new friends by being yourself, you can have more heart-to-heart conversations with people to get them to know them better, try to find out what their talents are, what their interests are.
We don't believe our parents when they tell us we are beautiful because when people are close to us, we feel as if they are obligated to tell us so. And in order to actually feel that we are beautiful, we would have to have self-love and confidence.
God, He created us, so that's why He sees all these great characteristics in us, and He thinks we're perfect because He made us.
Someone truly sees you through the eyes of God when they realize your inner beauty.
Charm is deceitful, and beauty fleeting.
The woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
Acclaim her for the work of her hands.
And let her deeds praise her at the city gates.
This is from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30.
When we read that, we are reminded that our looks on the outside will not last.
Not to sound morbid or anything, but eventually we will all die and our bodies will wither away.
But our soul, our spirit, will not die.
True beauty is in the soul, and it is the beauty within the shell of our earthly body.
So how do we understand this and try not to get caught up in society's definition of beauty and how we should look?
How do we reveal the beauty within ourselves and believe that this beauty is what matters most?
Bearing it all to God, is beauty only skin deep? That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Corey.
And this is Real Faith TV.
We'd like to thank the students from St. Rose High School in Belmar, New Jersey for helping us open the show today.
And for sharing how they define beauty and how society often perceives it much differently.
We'll hear more from them as part of our wild card segments throughout the show. But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Brother Steve Aguino.
Brother Steve is with the Salesians of Don Bosco, studying to become a Catholic priest.
He teaches at Salesians High School in New Rochelle, New York.
Brother Steve is involved in a unique ministry with fellow Salesian brother Steve DeMaio called the Bosco Boys.
They rap Christian music, spreading the gospel and hoping to bring young people closer to Christ.
Yo, 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 word to the Father. Some of you may have seen them at a youth ministry event, which I was also at.
Next, Brother Steve will discuss his definition of beauty and why it's often difficult to see beyond the physical.
I would define beauty as, of course, something that begins physically, that we see with our eyes, because that is where we gather so much information. We can say, well, that was a beautiful sunset, or this food on my plate looks amazing, and we might want to take a picture of it and share it with somebody. Or, man, I saw this person today, they were so beautiful. I think it's difficult to look at beauty beyond the outer appearance because of our culture. You know, you're not good enough unless you look like this, or you're not worth anything unless you are around these sorts of people. All we know, or all we think beauty to be is what's on our screen, what's on our phone. I think that if our society is addicted to skin, that means that we're stuck with the superficial. We're stuck with what's on the outside, how things appear. But as we grow older and we understand and we live life a little bit more, beauty starts to go from the eyes to the heart. And so it's in the heart that when we look with our heart, look with love, rather than look with lust or look with, what's in it for me, we could say, there's something so much more. We're able to find beauty in others by looking past the superficial and to say, yes, they might look nice, but if I have a conversation with them, are they willing to sit there and talk with me? Are they compassionate? Would they be able to be there for me if I was hurting or if I was in need? That ability to love shows how beautiful somebody is. If somebody thinks that you're not worth their time, well, we may not think that they're able to see how beautiful we are. But we can help others to see that beauty in giving of ourselves, in service. Some other things besides heart or love that makes somebody beautiful or helps us to see beauty is their actions. Something as simple as somebody holding the door open for another. Like, man, that was a beautiful action, but it's the simple actions every single day that we're able to reveal our beauty. And if we see beauty, we should call it out and say, that's beautiful. I feel like it really does make a difference. Like, be that stranger, be that weird person who goes up to them and say, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that. Like, you have so much courage. That was so brave of you to do that. Thank you. And that person, I promise you, may look at you weird, but when they go home, they're gonna say, wow, that person saw beauty in me because I did something as silly as opening a door.
I really liked how he told us that beauty starts with the eyes but ends at the heart. I think that's absolutely true, because you may look at a person and maybe their outer beauty is very nice and very evident, but once you get to know that person, you see the beauty that's inside their heart. And I feel like that is what beauty should be like, or how we should identify beauty as. Well, let's see what our studio guests have to say about this topic.
Okay, they are Caroline,
Lauren,
Megan,
Faith,
and Alec.
So our society seems pretty addicted to skin. What does this addiction say about us and the world around us?
I think everyone has become obsessed with having like perfect skin. Like, you can't have acne or it makes you less beautiful, and everyone's become obsessed with wearing makeup and having the perfect skin and having to look perfect all the time.
You're right, they take makeup as a concealer. It's actually called concealer, but metaphorically it's a concealer to hide all of your insecurities and who you really are in front of people, in my opinion.
I think that some people only look on the outside and they don't see what is on the inside of people, and some people can be really nice and no one will ever know because they didn't give them the time of day to actually talk to them.
Yeah, I think some people are just tend to be shallow sometimes, and our attention spans seem to be shorter. Like, we just see something and immediately we judge it as, being beautiful or being ugly, however we perceive ugliness. So I mean, I think that's ridiculous. I think we need to take more time to get to actually know what's on the inside.
Yeah, and the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, the cover of the book is what everyone sees on the outside, and the pages is like the inner person and all that. And no one takes the time to open that book and actually see what the inner pages are. Everyone just looks at it and they just pass it on.
Let's go back to our spotlight guest, Brother Steve, where he talks about the dangers we face when we compare our beauty with others.
He also shares the steps we can take to see others' beauty with more than just our eyes.
Comparing is so dangerous because we take away from who we are. We're good. We are made good, and we're called to do good and great things. But when we say, you know what, I'm not going to do it anymore because this person is beautiful. I can never look like that because she looks like that or he looks like that. It's not going to be me. Like, yes, this photo is really cool, or this person looks a certain way, but what's the reality? Like, there's filters applied, there's Photoshop, there's corrections, and the image is not always portrayed the way it is. And when we ourselves go and see it in reality, and we're like, huh, they only took a photo of this, but there's so much more. We're able to, kind of help ourselves out and look past that superficiality. I think what really helps us to see the beauty of somebody on the inside is to have a real friendship or a conversation with them. I mean, you may not necessarily need to be friends with somebody to see their beauty, but when you introduce care, when you introduce concern, the well-being of somebody else, you realize that their life is important. And when you see the value of life and human dignity, you could say, wow, this is something that's good, and they are created in the image and likeness of God, which I've been saying a lot, but that is where that beauty lies. And so when you as a human being can appreciate them and say, I may not know them the best, or they may not be my best friend, but I can appreciate their beauty because I know that they're compassionate, I know that they're loving.
So when was the time that you saw the beauty in somebody else? And did you tell them why or why not?
I've definitely told my friends a bunch of times how beautiful they look. It puts a smile on their face, and if they're having a bad day, that could really brighten up their day, not just my friends, anyone.
It doesn't take that much to just tell someone how beautiful they are, because we have to remember that like people sometimes get stuck on their insecurities, so we have to keep showing them that those insecurities are really nothing compared to who they are as a person.
And sort of like what Brother Steve was saying, where even if this person is a stranger and they do a small thing, like opening a door for you or for somebody else, or I remember one time my uncle, he was coming out of a public restroom and he has trouble walking, and he was walking with my aunt and it started to rain, and the guy who was walking in had an umbrella and he gave the umbrella to my aunt, and the guy didn't ask for the umbrella back, and I thought it was really sweet and very nice because, again, it shows that inner beauty, those little things that you do even for strangers to bring out a person's inner beauty.
Exactly, like you don't have to be friends. Just the little things can make someone feel so beautiful, like giving them a smile, maybe a small little compliment that they weren't expecting to get. It's just one of the small things that I think makes someone feel beautiful.
In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, we learn that man is created in God's image and likeness.
Man is created with both a body and a soul.
We might think of the body as the external outside part of being human, and the soul as the internal inside part.
Both of these aspects of our humanity were made good, and together they make us uniquely human.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church tells us that the unity of soul and body is so profound that one has to consider the soul to be the form of the body.
It is because of its spiritual soul that the body made up of matter becomes a living human body.
Spirit and matter in man are not two natures united, but rather their union forms a single nature.
That is really deep if you think about it. Simply stated, we reflect God's beauty. We reflect His beauty in our bodies and our souls.
Let's meet our first wild card guest, Kristen, who recently suffered the loss of a friend.
She'll share how his death helped her to realize our own unique beauty as a reflection of God.
Let's hear her now.
When my friend recently passed away, I realized that your own beauty is something that you should look in the mirror every single day and say, I'm beautiful and I'm unique and I'm special, because you don't know when your last day is going to be, and you have to take it by every single moment and know that you're worth it and that you're beautiful and you're special. You don't know what God's plan is for you. You know that God loves you, but you have to love yourself first before you love anyone else, and that's really important to me, and that hit me really hard when my friend died because he was so young and he was a great person, and it was sad to see someone like that go. And you have to realize that you have to love yourself first. You have to be happy with yourself because you don't know when your life will be over.
So when was the time you recognized your own beauty?
I remember one time my friend told me that this boy said that I was classy. I take that as like, it's such a profound word. There's so many meanings for it. It's not like he could have said, oh yeah, she's pretty. Oh yeah, she's cute. But it was like, it was more than that. Classy means like, it seems like she holds herself together nicely. She's a lovely girl. She's beautiful inside and out. And when I was told that he said that about me, I felt truly beautiful.
I know personally for me, I always feel really good about myself when I'm going somewhere and I get really dressed up and I'll like do my hair nicely and do my makeup and put like a nice dress on. Because it is nice to get a compliment, but you also have to love yourself. So if you're able to look in the mirror, whether you're dressed up or in like sweats, and you're able to say, I'm beautiful to yourself, I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah, I really like what Kristen was saying about, you know, you always have to make time to love yourself. I mean, you know, it's great to be selfless and like give as much love as you can to others, but you always have to remember, like, it's not arrogant to say, you know, wow, I like to think I'm beautiful. I mean, that's just, I mean, you can think to yourself, like, wow, God made me to be a great person. It's okay to have those thoughts. It's not being arrogant, it's just loving yourself.
When I did a leadership camp over the summer, we were going to do the heart-to-heart talk, which was basically you took your hands and you put it over someone's heart and you said something like deep about them or said something that you want to say about them. So when I first started off, I'm like, all right, I've got a lot of people to go to, and I know there's probably not going to be that many people coming to me. I mean, I've never put myself in such a highlight. I've never wanted to because I don't want to sound, you know, arrogant or something. So I'm going around and I'm seeing people. They're like, oh, I want to go talk to you. And, oh, I want to talk to you. I'm like why? It really made me feel good about myself, made me feel special. It was really a touching thing, and I'm happy that it happened.
I remember at my school there's this icebreaker that we do whenever we have like a field day or an activity we're working with upperclassmen. We all have a piece of paper taped on our back, and then we walk around writing nice things on people's backs. And so it shows, you know, like everybody writes on everybody's back, everyone says something nice. And just reading those like little messages, even if they're not even about the outside, if they're about like, I think you're kind of funny, or that joke that you said before was really cute, or something like that. Those mean a lot to me, at least, and I love doing that activity so much because of that, because everyone gets their own little self-esteem boost. Everyone feels great at the end of the activity, and so that's something that I really enjoy.
It's great. In the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, it is written that
God does not see as a mortal who sees the appearance. The Lord looks into the heart.
Our catechism further explains that while body and soul are unified and both good, the soul, or heart, is of greatest value in a person.
And it is that by which he and she is most especially in God's image.
Each of us desires to be known and loved. While our bodies reveal part of who we are, our souls reveal so much more.
About our dreams, desires, hopes, ambitions, hurts, wounds, struggles, and strengths.
Certainly those who know and love us most understand us in these ways.
As young people, we often don't believe our parents or friends when they tell us we are beautiful.
Because we don't feel we fit the standards that the media puts on beauty.
Next, Brother Steve reassures us that we should never second-guess our beauty in the eyes of God.
And that we can build relationships with Him when we trust Him and more deeply believe that we are loved and lovable because God made us.
Sometimes we don't believe our parents when they tell us we're beautiful because they are our parents. And we don't want to hear our mom or our dad tell us, oh, you look so beautiful today. And we're like, oh, I gotta go change now. My mom thinks, you know, or my dad thinks whatever. And so we don't realize that what they're saying is true. You know, they care about us, they love us, and they're calling us out for our beauty. And we may not want to hear it, but when somebody else tells us that we're beautiful, then we're like, thank you. And our parents tell us all the time. But when we ourselves start saying like, no, I'm not beautiful, forget it. It's when we're at our lowest, when we're at our weakest points, and we're crying, we may not feel right, and they're able to console us and pick us up. And they're there for us in moments when we don't think anybody else will, and they say, you are beautiful. And in your weakest moment you say, still I'm beautiful, still you love me that way? And that's when we can say, wow, they really do mean what they say. But more amazingly is that God loves us so much more than our parents. God loves us so much more than our best friend, even our spouse or our boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever. You know, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, like the one and only, knows you and cares about you and wants you to be great, has made you great already. But we have to realize that and say, God, I trust you. And that's so tough to say because, you know, we think, well, how can I trust God if, you know, I'm slipping or I'm tripping, I'm messing up? You know, God wouldn't let me do that. But we have free will, and faith is something that we respond to freely. God gives it to us, but we respond to say, yes, God, I do trust in you. And sometimes it's difficult for us to even think about that, to say, you know, how can God truly know what's best for me? Like, I live my life every single day. I have my job after school, or I go to work, or whatever the case is. But how is God a part of that? And we may think, well, God is only a part of our spiritual life, or God is only a part of our life when we need him or when we're hurting. But he's also there with us in the everyday 9 to 5 or 8 to 2 if you're a student, or whatever the case is. And he is there for us in every single moment, from when we're tired, when we're upset, when we're depressed, when we feel broken, when we're on the ledge, walking the tightrope. He cares about us so much. And when we feel just that drop, that 1 ounce of God's love, it changes our entire life. And it has changed my life.
So what do you think would happen if we all really believed that God loved us inside and out?
I think we wouldn't worry about people's opinion about ourselves and even our image so much. We would care more about the person we are on the inside and how we act towards people in actions and words.
Well, recently this year at my school, a boy named Kobe committed suicide. And at his service, his sister spoke and she said that the reason why he did that was because he was always taking care of everyone else. And he was always worried about making everyone else happy, and he never worried about himself. And I feel like if he took time for himself and realized that God did love him inside and out, that he probably wouldn't have done that in the first place.
If it didn't matter as much to some people about looks, I think more random acts of kindness would become more popular, I'd say. It wouldn't be called random acts of kindness. They would be acts of kindness. Because today I don't see people holding the door as much, giving compliments, like saying that you are beautiful. Today that just doesn't seem normal, like the man said. It just seems a little weird, and they might give you a weird look because it's not common. But if looks didn't matter, that could become common, and people can become kinder and nicer from saying such beautiful and wonderful things all the time.
Our next wildcard guest is Karen.
She talks about how she and the cheerleading squad help others feel beautiful.
So last year I went with my cheer team to the hospital, and we went on the pediatric floor and we did little girls' makeup, and we gave little boys stickers to make them feel beautiful about themselves as they're sitting in the hospital, and just to make them feel confident and better.
Christ our God made man, who transforms true ugliness, sin, into something beautiful, eternal life.
This changes the definition of ugly, doesn't it? It's not that zit or those few extra pounds. Ugliness is actually choosing sin, or choosing to not be a reflection of God's love.
Beauty is a given for you and me by the fact that we are made in God's image and likeness.
Finally, Brother Steve shares this idea of beauty being in the eye of the beholder,
and relates the example of the love of his grandparents to the kind of beauty we should all strive to imitate.
Our beauty is more than what meets the eye, and you hear it all the time, like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, who is the beholder? It is God. God is the one who has created us, has made us in his image and likeness, and has called us to share in his divine life with him. And so when we realize how God made us, we're able to say, wow, we really are something beautiful. Because there are days that we don't feel great. There are days that we may not look the best we can, or the way that we don't feel the best that we're able to feel. And we know that that doesn't lessen or take away from who we are and how great God has made us. Beauty is only going to last so long. My grandparents are married for 65 years. And I'm sure that when they met each other when they were like 18 or 19 years old, they never said, boy, you're probably going to look great in 50 years. Now, they're both cute old people. You know, all of our grandparents are cute old people. But over time, beauty fades, the physical fades, things don't look the same after a while. But what creates long-lasting relationships and strengthening bonds is love. The love is something that's so great and so wonderful, because when we share our heart with another person, we say, you are worthy for me to give everything to you. And that person says, I'm ready to give everything to you. And it's talking in a relationship sense. But even ourselves, you know, if we only like people because of the way they look or how they are, our friendships are not going to last. Our friendships are not going to be real. Our communication is going to be for one purpose, and it's only going to say, what can I get from this person? It seems selfish. But when we realize that what's really beautiful is how we're treated, how we're with each other, how we serve each other, that's what makes beauty last forever.
So like what brother said, he said that your physical beauty will deteriorate as you get older, but your inner beauty, if you keep it strong, will stay with you. Like what he said, if you're an old person, you won't look as great as you did when you were 20, but if you keep your inner beauty strong, you will be on the inside as beautiful as you were when you were 20.
Absolutely, and definitely he talked about how like our inner beauty is how we share and it's how we love and it's how we act. So if we keep doing that forever, no matter our age, that beauty will last forever in everyone.
Yeah, like you both said, and even brother said it, God will always love us, even when we're old and wrinkly and no one else might think we're beautiful, he'll still think we're beautiful.
As human beings, we have been created uniquely and purposefully to reflect the love and beauty of God.
We reflect God's beauty in our bodies when we eat and sleep in ways that take care of our bodies.
When we use our bodies for sports and exercise, when we help others through physical labor.
We reflect God's beauty in our souls when we take time for prayer, perform spiritual works of mercy, go to Mass, and share our stories of Jesus with others.
Let us ask for God's grace to see ourselves the way He does, beautiful men and women created in His image and likeness.
Created to be known and loved by Him and others, confident and ready to share ourselves with the world.
How do you reflect God's beauty to the world?
We definitely want to hear from you.
Contact us at realfaithtv.com.
Or share your thoughts with us on Twitter.
And we leave you today with this story of Pope Francis.
At the end of a general audience held at the Vatican in November 2013.
Pope Francis noticed a man whose face had become severely disfigured from disease.
He paused and got off the Pope-mobile and went down to embrace him, touching the world with the simple yet profound act of love.
Pope Francis saw the man through the eyes of Christ as a beautiful child of God.
He was compelled to affirm that beauty and dignity with an embrace that challenges the rest of us to see with new eyes.
Let's work to see like that in our own lives.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.